Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Today is Friday, May the 29th, 2020. Uh, Hope you all are ready for the weekend coming up. Whatever assignments or activities you got planned for today, hopefully you're able to get that all done and completed in a timely manner and are able to enjoy the afternoon today and enjoy Saturday and Sunday. Wanted to wish everyone a happy National Biscuit Day. It's Biscuit Day today, everyone, if you didn't know that. So if you hadn't had your biscuits and gravy this morning for breakfast, or if you haven't had, um, your biscuits with your eggs and bacon, or your farmer's grand slam breakfast, um, hopefully you can have some breakfast or some biscuits later on today, maybe with dinner. Um, and enjoy and celebrate today's National Biscuit Day celebrations. For those of you who are joining with us live, thanks for being here with us. If you have any questions or comments about our class, or even about any of the other classes that you may be experiencing, whether it be on Google Classroom or Canvas or Edgenuity, let me know so I can help you out. Put your questions or comments or concerns in the chat box, and I'll be able to address that accordingly, either with you individually if it's an individual concern, or maybe it's something that we can share globally with everyone else, and I can address that with everyone. Well, we're getting to the last few days of the school year, and wanted to share with everyone, excuse me, about next week. If you hadn't had a chance to see the email, I think Mrs. Duffy sent an email out earlier this week um, regarding a schedule for next week's closeout procedures. Let me go ahead and try and see if I can screen share this. Let's see. We have, let's see, I'll just go ahead and say these the information to you, and I'll post the link on the chat box here. But distribution and collection of materials will begin next week on June 3rd, Wednesday for juniors. The 4th, Thursday, will be sophomores. Friday, the 5th, will be for freshmen. And then the following Monday on June 8th will be for seniors. Dates will be scheduled alphabetically by your last name. So if your last name starts with the letter A through G, you'll be coming to school from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Last name starting with H through O, 11 a.m. to 12 noon. And last names beginning with P through Z, you will be coming to school between 12 p.m. and 1 p.m. All right, let me go ahead and try and share this link with you really quickly. So let's see if I can grab that. So I'm going to be sending the link to FTHS school, we'll call it school year closeout. Student closeout. And there's the link in the chat box for you. I'm going to go ahead and grab this, and let's see if we can screen share that with everyone. Let's see. All right, here we go. So it looks like we are scheduled time slots via alphabetical by last name is here, and then we have the dates below that. So the time slots, our time slots based on your legal last name, student's legal last name, and then the dates based on grade level. If you do have a sibling that's attending school, attending Foothill Tech as well this current school year, siblings can come on the same day, or they can come individually. It's up to you. But if there is a senior, then the senior should be there on June 8th. I would say if you have a senior and a non-senior sibling, if there are siblings that have a senior and a non-senior, then they should come on the senior day, possibly because the senior cannot attend or should not attend the junior, sophomore, or freshman dates. You know, mostly because there are some specific senior closeout procedures that we need to take care of, transcripts, records, counselors, grades, since it's going to be their last, should be their last semester here with us at Foothill Tech. There will be a specific route to follow, so make sure all students, stay in their cars, either if you're with yourself or with, a parental unit, that's fine. But enter through the campus day road from Telegraph Road. So it's like you're coming around Starbucks, that corner from Telegraph. So you're driving down Telegraph, you're gonna turn onto Day Road, and the line will form to the side of the street. Remember, VC they are in their summer session now, but they are right now are completely online as well. So there hopefully are not too many cars parked on the side there. But we do ask that everyone remains in your vehicle as you proceed through the front circle driveway to drop off and receive your items. We had a meeting last week, and I think the procedure is going to be there will probably be someone at the start of the roundabouts in front of campus with a placard or a place card, maybe a sticky note with your name on it. We'll try and attach that to your front windshield, maybe put it behind the windshield wiper so that it doesn't get blown away if it's windy that day or at that hour. And then as you drive through to the different stations, the staff members that are at each station will be able to will know who's coming up through the line. Right when you get to the driveway at the circle, or turn right when you're exiting the roundabout. And this is where it's important for us. If you have a PE locker and you need to empty out something from your PE locker, you're going to turn the corner, go through the parking lot. So go through the parking lot, go towards the back of the parking lot, where the dots are, where we would usually normally line up and take roll. If you are in PE class, and we'll let students in one by one into the locker room. So you'll go into the locker room, enter through the side door. So the side door to the black box, you'll enter through, get into the locker room. Either myself or Ms. Stevens will be in there and to let you in. You'll need to clear out the contents from your locker. If you have your own bag, that's great. If not, we'll have our own. I'll be able to bring a bunch of old shopping bags that I have that you can put your contents in, your belongings into that bag. You'll turn your lock into either myself or Miss Stevens. We have these cards, the cards that you had when you first checked out the lock at the beginning of the school year, and you'll have that to fill out with the lock, or maybe one of us will fill it out with the lock information and the combo, verify that it's yours, cross you off so you don't have an obligation, and you'll be on your merry way. You'll go through the hallway, through the garage door, and exit the black box that way. So we're trying to limit entering and exiting through the front doors of the black box, the double doors that lead into the quad, because there might be another station there taking items in. So yeah, if you come in and your locker partner is coming in after you, now you can choose to come together if you want to coordinate that. That's completely up to you and your locker partner, so that you attend at the same time. Only one will be allowed into the locker room at a time. So, so like you can both go in the locker room at the same time. Only one person's going to be allowed in there, to continue to promote the social distancing. And you can get your contents from your locker at the same time. If one locker partner is arriving prior to the other locker partner, that first individual can, do the checkout procedure, get the lock, turn it in, get their contents. What we'll do is if the locker partner has contents, we'll put that in a bag either Miss Stevens or I will keep those, hold on to that until the second locker partner arrives. There won't be any checkout procedures, but we'll just be able to hand you the bag for you to take home and wash your clothes. If you're returning like textbooks or library books from the media center that you checked out, or if you had novels from English class, you'll be able to return those into the media center. You'll see the line going through, so you'll know when that's going to take place. We are only collecting devices from students who are leaving Foothill Technology High School. So if you are a senior, then you're going to be turning your device in. If you are a freshman, sophomore, or junior, and maybe you're transferring, maybe you already know you're going to go to El Camino or San Bonaventure, your family's moving, then you'll be able to turn in your device at that time. If you are not leaving Foothill Tech or any school, I guess if you're going to El Camino, you're still staying in the district, so you're not going to turn your device in. But so if you're not leaving the district, then you're going to keep your device throughout the summer, in the charging station, so that when we start in the start of the school year, if we are online, you don't need to come back to campus and check out another device. Okay. And same with your athletic equipment or uniforms. So only students who are not returning to FTHS will need to return their uniforms. Only students leaving our school, all students and students who will not attend FTHS school in the fall should return sports uniforms and equipment that were borrowed. Ms. Blackler will also be available to take payments if there's any obligations that you owe based on what was turned in. Please remember that it's the end of the school year, so if you're a freshman, then you probably don't know this unless you have an older sibling. But we want you to make sure that you pay in cash or use the district online payment process. We don't take checks at the end of the school year. There will be refund checks issued for some of the AP tests that did not take place, but they're not available at this time. I know Mr. Boyd and Ms. Blackler have been, Mr. Boyd and Ms. Blackler in the ASB office student store will be, have been coordinating that. So, let's make sure that, just want to prompt you to that, so you don't come to school thinking that you're going to be picking up a reimbursement check, a refund check. Items that we will distribute to you, the student, as you are coming through the car checkout procedure line. All students will receive their yearbook if you purchased it. I think I talked to Miss Carr or Frazier last week, and I think Frazier mentioned that there are still some yearbooks that are not sold yet. They're unsold that we have in stock, but I don't believe there are very many. So I want to say you said something like 20 or 25 yearbooks that we have in stock that have not been sold yet. I could be wrong. Please don't quote me on that, on the the 20 or 25. Medication, if you have medication that was kept in the health office, I think Nurse Jen and Miss Mary are going to be passing those out to students and families. So if you have prescription medication that need to be on site, or an EpiPen or something of that nature that's been in the school office, health office, we'll be returning those to you like we normally would in the summer, so you can have those that medication available to you. And then when we do come back on campus, you'll be able to resubmit that medication. Yeah, we already talked about the locker items. Anything that's left for you from the office, if it's athletic pictures that were previously purchased and maybe you didn't pick up for whatever reason, or we didn't have the end of the season banquet, then that will be distributed to you. Okay. Seniors, we will make sure that we distribute to seniors the awards. Like I said, I'll be in the PE area, helping with that for the department. But I know there's a few stations. I'm not sure exactly who's going to be handing those out, but I know there is a table for that. Cap and gowns, and any work from teachers. Here we go. This is the information for seniors only. That's why, if there are siblings coming on the same day and one of the siblings is a senior, please, please, please come on the senior day. Don't come on the freshman, sophomore, or junior day, just because we won't have the stations ready for transcripts and senior survey, and for individuals to complete those. Um, I know there is for seniors, there's a transcript collection or verification. So, at the collection and distribution process, you will complete a card. So if you bring your own pen, that would be great. And you're going to be able to write that on the card. Um, your name and where you would like your transcripts to be sent. I believe every student is allowed 2 transcripts that we can send, official transcripts that we can send, either to whatever college or university, or maybe your home that you want that sent to. Like this says right here, usually one is sent to home and the other is sent to their college that has already been committed to, that is requiring official transcripts for your application status. Okay. If you don't have a pen, we're supposed to be having pens for you, but we won't collect them back. So if we give you a pen to use, it'll be probably, one of those, huge box of pens or free pens that that you get from Staples or Home Depot, Office Depot. But if you use a pen that is brought from us, I know we talked about this in the meeting last week, we won't want that back from you. So, just, continuing to promote and practice social distancing and CDC recommendations and guidelines. It'd be best if you bring your own pen. And, if you have your own face covering or face shield or mask, please wear those. I know you're not coming out of your vehicles to go through this procession line for checkout, but we're going to have runners from the table to your vehicle if items need to be um, sent to you or received from you. So other than going to your locker for PE, there should not be a need for you to leave your vehicle when you go through the procession line. All right. So the link that I sent you also has this information in Spanish as well. So for your parental units, if you need that to give to them so that they know what to expect, that would be great. Again, reminder, this is for next week, starting Wednesday. So Wednesday, June 3rd will be for juniors. Thursday, June 4th will be for sophomores. Friday, June 5th for freshmen, and Monday, June 8th, seniors. And remember, please, that there are specific time slots that we have allotted for each student's last name. So last names starting from A through G of the student will be arriving on their specific date from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Last names starting with H through O, 11 a.m. to 12 noon, and last names P through Z should be arriving from 12 noon to 1 p.m. I would just say that, expect for people to start lining up prior to 10 a.m. I would say if you're coming at the later end of your time slot, so you come at 10:55, there may be someone in line for the 11 o'clock time slot. So I believe once you get in line, we're going to pass you through. So I would say it would be better to come at the front part of your hour, so between 10 and 10:30, than to come from your later hour. So if you, so anyways, plan to arrive early, is what I would say. So yeah, that's the information for collection and distribution for the end of the year for the items. If you have questions, feel free to send that to me or to Miss Duffy, and we'll be able to help you out with that. Like I said, the link to this information is in the chat box. So Oops, that's not what I want to do. So yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to send it to Miss Duffy or to myself, and we'll be able to help you out with that. All right. All right. Thanks, everyone. Okay, and looks like as of right now, there are no current questions or comments or concerns for me to address in the chat box. Like I said, if there are or is something, please go ahead and type that into the chat box. Send me a DM somehow, and I can address that with you. Since there's nothing to address right now, we'll go ahead and continue reading Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets by J.K. Rowling. We are on chapter 11. And if you're following along with me in the book that I have, I'm on page 197, chapter 11, The Dueling Club, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets by J.K. Rowling. All right, here we go. Harry lay awake for hours that night. Through a gap in the curtains around his four-poster, he watched snow starting to drift past the tower window and wondered, could he be a descendant of Salazar Slytherin? He didn't know anything about his father's family, after all. The Dursleys had always forbidden questions about his wizarding relatives. Quietly, Harry tried to say something in Parseltongue. The words wouldn't come. It seemed he had to be face to face with a snake to do it. But I'm in Gryffindor, Harry thought. The Sorting Hat wouldn't have put me in here if I had Slytherin blood. Ah, said a nasty voice in his brain. But the Sorting Hat wanted to put you in Slytherin. Don't you remember? Harry turned over. He'd see Justin the next day in herbology, and he'd explain that he'd been calling the snake off, not egging it on, which he thought angrily, pummeling his pillow. Any fool should have realized. By the next morning, however, the snow that had begun in the night had turned into a blizzard so thick that the last herbology lesson of the term was canceled. Professor Sprout wanted to fit socks and scarves on the mandrakes, a tricky operation she would entrust to no one else. Now that it was so important for the mandrakes to grow quickly and revive Mrs. Norris and Colin Creevey, Harry fretted about this next to the fire in the Gryffindor common room, while Ron and Hermione used their time off to play a game of wizard chess. For heaven's sake, Harry, said Hermione, exasperated, as one of Ron's bishops wrestled her knight off his horse and dragged him off the board. Go and find Justin if it's so important to you. So Harry got up and left through the portrait hole, wondering where Justin might be. The castle was darker than it usually was in daytime because of the thick, swirling gray snow at every window. Shivering, Harry walked past classrooms where lessons were taking place, catching snatches of what was happening within. Professor McGonagall was shouting at someone who, by the sound of it, had turned his friend into a badger. Resisting the urge to take a look, Harry walked on by, thinking that Justin might be using his free time to catch up on some work and deciding to check the library first. A group of the Hufflepuffs, who should have been herbology, were indeed sitting at the back of the library, but they didn't seem to be working. Between the long lines of high bookshelves, Harry could see that their heads were close together, and they were having what looked like an absorbing conversation. He couldn't see whether Justin was among them. He was walking toward them when something of what they were saying met his ears, and he paused to listen, hidden in the invisibility section. So, anyway, a stout boy was saying, I told Justin to hide up in our dormitory. I mean to say, if Potter's marked him down as his next victim, it's best if he keeps a low profile for a while. Of course, Justin's been waiting for something like this to happen ever since he let slip to Potter that he was Muggle-born. Justin actually told him he'd been down for Eton. That's not the kind of thing you bandy about with Slytherin's air on the loose, is it? You definitely think it is Potter then, Ernie, said a girl with blonde pigtails anxiously. Hannah, said the stout boy solemnly. He's a parcel mouth. Everyone knows that's the mark of a dark wizard. Have you ever heard of a decent one who could talk to snakes? They called Slytherin himself Serpent Tongue. There was some heavy murmuring at this, and Ernie went on. Remember what was written on the wall? Enemies of the air beware. Potter had some sort of run-in with Filch. Next thing we know, Filch's cats attacked. That first year, Creevy was annoying Potter at the Quidditch match, taking pictures of him while he was lying in the mud. Next thing we know, Creevy's been attacked. He always seems so nice to me, though, said Hannah uncertainly. And, well, he's the one who made you-know-who disappear. He can't be all bad, can he? Ernie lowered his voice mysteriously. The Hufflepuff bent closer, and Harry edged nearer so that he could catch Ernie's words. No one knows how he survived that attack by you-know-who. I mean to say, he was only a baby when it happened. He should have been blasted into smithereens. Only a really powerful dark wizard could have survived a curse like that. He dropped his voice until it was barely more than a whisper and said, That's probably why you-know-who wanted to kill him in the first place. Didn't want another Dark Lord competing with him. I wonder what other powers Potter's been hiding. Harry couldn't take it anymore. Clearing his throat loudly, he stepped out from behind the bookshelves. If he hadn't been feeling so angry, he would have found the sight that greeted him funny. Every one of the Hufflepuffs looked as though they had been petrified by the sight of him, and the color was draining out Ernie's face. Hello, said Harry. I'm looking for Justin Finch Fletchley. The Hufflepuff's worst fears had clearly been confirmed. They all looked fearfully at Ernie. What do you want with him? Said Ernie in a quavering voice. I wanted to tell him what really happened with the snake at the dueling club, said Harry. Ernie bit his white lips and then, taking a deep breath, said, We were all there. We saw what happened. Then you noticed that after I spoke to it, the snake backed off, said Harry. All I saw, said Ernie stubbornly, though he was trembling as he spoke, was you speaking parcel tongue and chasing the snake toward Justin. I didn't chase it at him, Harry said, his voice shaking with anger. It didn't even touch him. It was a very near miss, said Ernie. And in case you're getting ideas, he added hastily, I might tell you that you can trace my family back through 9 generations of witches and warlocks, and my blood's as pure as anyone's, so I don't care what sort of blood you've got, said Harry fiercely. Why would I want to attack Muggle-borns? I've heard you hate Muggles you live with, said Ernie swiftly. It's not possible to live with the Dursleys and not hate them, said Harry. I'd like to see you try it. He turned on his heel and stormed out of the library, earning himself a reproving glare from Madame Pince, who was polishing the gilded cover of a large spell book. Harry blundered up the corridor, barely noticing where he was going. He was in such a furry. The result was that he walked into something very large and solid, which knocked him backward onto the floor. Oh, hello, Hagrid, Harry said, looking up. Hagrid's face was entirely hidden by a woolly, snow-covered baklava. It couldn't possibly be anyone else, as he filled most of the corridor in his moleskin overcoat. A dead rooster was hanging from one of his massive gloved hands. All right, Harry, he said, pulling up the baklava so he could speak. Why are you in class? Cancelled, said Harry, getting up. What are you doing in here? Hagrid held up the limp rooster. Second one killed this term, he explained. It's either foxes or a blood-sucking bugbear, and I need the headmaster's permission to put a charm round the hen coop. He peered more closely at Harry from under his thick, snow-flecked eyebrows. You sure you're all right? You look a little hot and bothered. Harry couldn't bring himself to repeat what Ernie and the rest of the Hufflepuffs had been saying about him. "It's nothing," he said. "I'd better be going, Hagrid. It's Transfiguration next, and I've got to pick up my books." He walked off, his mind still full of what Ernie had said about him. Justin's been waiting for something like this to happen ever since he let slip to Potter he was Muggle-born. Harry stamped up the stairs and turned along another corridor, which was particularly dark. The torches had been extinguished by a strong, icy draft that was blowing through a low window pane. He was halfway down the passage when he tripped headlong over something lying on the floor. He turned to squint at what he'd fallen over and felt as though his stomach had dissolved. Justin Finch Fletchley was lying on the floor, rigid and cold. A look of shock frozen on his face, his eyes staring blankly at the ceiling. And that wasn't all. Next to him was another figure, the strangest sight Harry had ever seen. It was nearly Headless Nick, no longer pearly white and transparent, but black and smoky, floating immobile and horizontal, 6 inches off the floor. His head was half off, and his face wore an expression of shock identical to Justin's. Harry got to his feet, his breathing fast and shallow, his heart doing a kind of drum roll against his ribs. He looked wildly up and down the deserted corridor and saw a line of spiders scuttling as fast as they could away from the bodies. The only sounds were the muffled voices of teachers from the classes on either end. He could run, and no one would ever know he had been there. But he couldn't just leave them lying here. He had to get help. Would anyone believe he hadn't had anything to do with this? As he stood there, panicking, a door right next to him opened with a bang. Peeves, the poltergeist, came shooting out. "Why, it's Potty Potter," crackled Peeves, knocking Harry's glasses askew as he bounced past him. "What's Potter up to? Why is Potter lurking?" Peeves stopped halfway through a midair somersault. Upside down, he spotted Justin and nearly Headless Nick. He flipped the right way up, filled his lungs, and before Harry could stop him, screamed, "Attack! Attack! Another attack! No mortal or ghost is safe! Run for your lives! Attack!" Crash, crash, crash! Door after door flew open along the corridor, and people flooded out. For several long minutes there was a scene of such confusion that Justin was in danger of being squashed, and people kept standing in nearly Headless Nick. Harry found himself pinned against the wall as the teachers shouted for quiet. Professor McGonagall came running out, followed by her own class, one of whom still had black and white striped hair. She used her wand to set off a loud bang, which restored silence, and ordered everyone back into their classes. No sooner had the scene cleared somewhat than Ernie the Hufflepuff arrived, panting on the scene. "Caught in the act!" Ernie yelled, his face stark white, pointing his fingers dramatically at Harry. "That will do, Macmillan," said Professor McGonagall sharply. Peeves was bobbing overhead, now grinning wickedly, surveying the scene. Peeves always loved chaos. As the teachers bent over Justin and nearly Headless Nick examining them, Peeves broke into song. "Oh, Potter, you rotter. Oh, what have you done? You're killing off students. You think it's good fun." "That's enough, Peeves," barked Professor McGonagall, and Peeves zoomed away backward, with his tongue out at Harry. Justin was carried up to the hospital wing by Professor Flitwick and Professor Sinistra of the astronomy department, but nobody seemed to know what to do for nearly Headless Nick. In the end, Professor McGonagall conjured a large fan out of thin air, which she gave to Ernie with instructions to waft nearly Headless Nick up the stairs. This Ernie did, fanning Nick along like a silent black hovercraft. This left Harry and Professor McGonagall alone together. "This way, Potter," she said. "Professor," said Harry at once, "I swear I didn't—" "This is out of my hands, Potter," said Professor McGonagall curtly. They marched in silence around the corner as she stopped before a large and extremely ugly stone gargoyle. "Lemon Drop," she said. This was evidently a password, because The gargoyle sprang suddenly to life and hopped aside as the wall behind him split in two. Even full of dread for what was coming, Harry couldn't fail to be amazed. Behind the wall was a spiral staircase that was moving smoothly upward, like an escalator. As he and Professor McGonagall stepped onto it, Harry heard the wall thud closed behind him. They rose upward in circles, higher and higher, until at last, slightly dizzy, Harry saw a gleaming oak door ahead, with a brass knocker in the shape of a griffin. He knew now where he was been taken. This must be where Dumbledore lived. And that's the end of chapter 11. We'll continue on, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. And if you're listening to this podcast recorded, appreciate you clicking on the link and listening to that. Like I said, I will post onto Google Classroom. Well, I didn't say this. Like I said earlier about the checkout procedure starting next week for students, juniors, sophomores, and seniors, with times designated based on your last name. Seniors will be the following Monday. So juniors, sophomores, and freshmen next week, seniors the following Monday. Reminder that next week is the last week that you can complete your workout logs. Workout logs are due, so make sure you click that submit button for your workout log. That's due next week, Friday, so you have 1 week left. But next week, Friday at noon is when the workout logs are due. For those of you in global health, I posted your last assignment. I usually do this as part of your semester 2 exam. You have the option of completing it or not. If you do not complete the assignment on Google Classroom and Global Health, you will not be penalized. But normally what I do is, we handwrite letters to our senior selves, and I'll put that in an envelope and save that for you, or you usually put it in an envelope and I save it for you. But what I'll do is I will save it for you digitally, and hopefully either email or send you a printed copy of it your senior year. Seniors, if you're listening to this, you will be getting yours with your checkout procedures. I'll be giving that to Ms. Duffy to put together in your packets for June 8th when you come in to pick up and turn it, to pick up all your documents, transcripts, and turn in devices. All right. I will put that information on Google Classroom for those of you who are listening in, so that you have access to that if you did not, if you weren't able to attend with us live today. So appreciate every single one of you. Happy National Biscuit Day. Hope you enjoy the rest of your Friday and have a great weekend. Wash your hands, stay clean, stay safe, and I'm very proud and happy for all of you for being a part of our class. So have a great rest of the day, and we will see you all next week, regular times, Monday evening from 6 to 7 p.m., and then Wednesday and Friday next week from 9:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. All right. Thanks for joining me, everyone. Hope you have a great rest of your day and great weekend, and I will be with you all next week. All right. Stay safe out there, everyone. Bye-bye.